A perfect love story. So you've been publicly shamed, but this story is different. This is a story of love, of connection, and of the beautiful moments that make life worth living. My life with Sarah was perfect. We shared countless dinners where laughter echoed through the air and our eyes spoke volumes of the love we felt for each other. We met at a friend's wedding. It was a magical evening filled with joy and celebration. The moment I saw her, I knew she was special. She was radiant, funny, intelligent. Her smile could light up a room, and her laughter was infectious. We connected instantly as if we had known each other for years. We fell in love quickly, deeply, our hearts intertwined, and we became inseparable. Every moment spent together was a treasure, every kiss a promise of forever. Our life together was a dream: movie nights, weekend getaways, and endless conversations that lasted until the early hours of the morning. We shared our hopes, our fears, and our dreams. We planned our future together, mapping out every detail. We talked about the house we would buy, the trips we would take, and the family we would build. Our dreams were intertwined, and our love was the foundation. I was going to marry this woman. I planned the perfect proposal, down on one knee with a ring that symbolized our eternal love. Her eyes sparkled with joy as she said yes. I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. We were a team, partners in every sense of the word. Our love was strong and our bond unbreakable. Then, things started to change. The laughter became less frequent, and the conversations grew shorter. We found ourselves drifting apart, and the love that once burned so brightly began to fade. We tried to hold on, to rekindle the flame that once brought us so much joy, but the more we tried, the more distant we became. The silence between us grew louder, and the tears more frequent. We sought help, hoping to find a way back to each other. Counseling sessions brought moments of hope, and we held on to the belief that our love could be saved. There were moments of clarity where we remembered why we fell in love in the first place. We shared tender moments, and for a while it felt like we were on the right path. But the arguments returned, and the frustration grew. We found ourselves back where we started, and the hope we once had began to slip away. In the end, we had to face the truth. Our love story, once perfect, had come to an end. We parted ways, with heavy hearts and memories of what once was. Life goes on, and we both found our own paths. The love we shared will always be a part of us, a beautiful chapter in our lives. And though it ended, it was a perfect love story in its own way. Sometimes love stories don't have a happy ending, but that doesn't make them any less beautiful. They are a testament to the power of love and the impact it has on our lives. A tale of love, loss, and the beauty of the moments we share. Cracks in the facade. Sarah became withdrawn, distant. It was subtle at first, just a slight change in her demeanor. She used to be so vibrant, full of life and laughter. But now, there was a heaviness in her eyes, a weight that seemed to pull her down. Her once bright eyes now clouded with secrecy. They no longer sparkled with the joy and excitement that used to light up her face. Instead, they were guarded, as if she was hiding something deep within her soul. I could see the walls she was building, brick by brick, shutting me out. She was glued to her phone, whispering into it at odd hours. It became a constant companion, more important than our conversations, our moments together. I would catch her in hushed tones, her voice barely audible, as if she was sharing secrets with someone else. The phone became a barrier, a symbol of the growing distance between us. I dismissed it as wedding stress. Planning a wedding can be overwhelming, and I tried to convince myself that this was just a phase, but deep down, I knew it was more than that. The stress seemed to consume her, overshadowing the joy that should have been there. It was as if the wedding was a burden rather than a celebration of our love. But my gut churned with unease. My Sarah was gone. The woman I fell in love with, the one who made me feel alive, was slipping away. I could feel the emptiness growing between us, a void that I couldn't fill. It was like watching a beautiful painting fade, losing its colors and vibrancy. In her place, a stranger, someone I barely recognized. Her actions, her words, everything about her felt foreign. It was as if she had become a different person, someone with secrets and fears that I couldn't understand. The connection we once had was fraying, and I was left grasping at the threads, trying to hold on to the woman I loved. The shadow of doubt. My concern morphed into suspicion. I found a credit card statement, an unfamiliar name, an exorbitant amount. My heart pounded. This wasn't for wedding favors. This was something else. something darker. I had to know the truth, even if it shattered everything. Unmasking the truth. The confrontation was inevitable. Painful accusations, her denials, unconvincing. Finally, the truth spilled out. Credit card fraud, an online persona, an OnlyFans account. My Sarah peddling herself online. My world crumbled. Betrayal, shame, disgust, my perfect love story destroyed. Days blurred, sleep evaded me. The evidence of her double life was everywhere. Luxurious purchases, secret messages. The weight of her deception crushed me. I was drowning in a sea of anger and heartbreak. Could I protect her? Could I protect myself? The decision to call the FBI was the hardest I've ever made. My hand trembled as I dialed the number, my voice a choked whisper. I provided the details, each word a betrayal of the love I once felt. I was sending the woman I loved to prison. The knock on the door came at dawn. Uniformed officers, Sarah's shocked face, her pleas of innocence ringing hollow. I watched as they took her away, her cries echoing in the morning air. I was a ghost in my own nightmare. Alone in the rubble, the house was silent, empty, filled with the ghosts of our love and her lies. I was adrift in a sea of guilt and grief. Had I done the right thing? The silence screamed her absence. Justified or judgmental, people called me a hero, a victim. But judgment clouded their eyes. Was I right to expose her? Was I wrong to love her? The questions haunted me. Was I defined by her actions? Picking up the pieces. Healing was slow, painful. Therapy helped. Friends offered support. Slowly, I began to rebuild my life. The shattered pieces of my heart slowly mending. I was learning to forgive her, to forgive myself. Love and law, an impossible choice. The experience changed me. It was a day like any other when I found myself at the crossroads of duty and emotion. The investigation was intense, the stakes were high, and every piece of evidence seemed to pull me deeper into a web of moral conflict. It forced me to confront the complexities of love, trust, and forgiveness. The arguments, the tears, the sleepless nights, they all became a part of my daily existence. I had to question everything I believed in, every principle I held dear. Was it possible to uphold the law and still be true to my heart? I learned that sometimes the hardest choices are the right ones. Standing at the precipice of decision, I realized that the path of least resistance was not an option. Each choice carried its own weight, its own consequences. The moral dilemmas were not just black and white. They were shades of gray that tested my very soul, even if they break your heart. The pain was real, the emotional toll was heavy. I felt the sting of betrayal, the ache of loss, and the burden of responsibility. Yet, through the tears and heartache, I found a strange sense of clarity. Sometimes, the right choice is the one that hurts the most. I may never have the answers. The questions lingered, haunting me in quiet moments. Did I do the right thing? Could I have chosen differently? These thoughts became my constant companions, a reminder of the complexity of human emotions and the intricacies of moral decisions. But I survived the storm. Through the turmoil and the chaos, I emerged stronger, more resilient. The experience, though painful, shaped me into a person who understands the true meaning of courage and integrity. I learned that surviving the storm is not just about weathering the external challenges, but also about conquering the internal battles. And in the end, that is what makes us truly human.